A charismatic young Portuguese manager coming into the Premier League after dominating the Portuguese league. Remind you of someone? Ruben Amorim is very much following a similar path to José Mourinho. He is coming to England with a lot of pressure on his shoulders, joining a club that has become a graveyard for managerial careers. Will he have the same level of success as the special one? Or will his name be added to the long list of managers who weren't able to tame the Red Devil? It seems like it wasn't that long ago that Ruben Amorim was a player. In fact, here he is being subbed on for Cristiano Ronaldo. But despite his 14 caps for Portugal and playing for Benfica as a central midfielder, Amorim knew that he would be a better manager than player. After retiring in 2017, Amorim swiftly transitioned into coaching. If you want to learn coaching, who better to learn from than one of the greatest managers of all time in José Mourinho? Amorim spent a week-long internship under Mourinho in 2018, back when he was managing Manchester United. Mourinho had done a similar thing when he was younger, rising through the ranks, working under Sir Bobby Robson at Sporting and Porto, as well as Louis van Gaal at Barcelona. What better way to learn than to be mentored by somebody who has achieved exactly what you're looking to achieve? After some learning though, Amorim decided it was time for him to actually start managing, doing the real thing, getting his hands dirty. His managerial career began in 2018 with Casa Pia, a team competing in Portugal's 3rd division. It was actually during his tenure there that he introduced his back 3 system, which has become a hallmark of his tactical approach. He switched to it after losing his first 2 games in charge, realizing that the formation emphasized defensive solidity and flexibility, allowing for quick transitions between defending and attack. But he faced setback early on. In January 2019, Amorim and Casa Pia faced sanctions from the Portuguese Football Federation. The club was deducted 6 points and Amorim received a 1-year suspension for providing instructions during match without holding the UEFA coaching license. Although these penalties were later suspended, this incident led to him resigning from the club. The experience though highlighted the importance of formal coaching credentials in professional football. In an effort to avoid a situation like that happening again, Amorim attended a fast-track course in Belfast, showing his commitment to adhere to regulatory standards and advancing his managerial career. But despite him managing without a qualification, the stuff that he learned at Casa Pia laid the groundwork for his future success with clubs like Braga and Sporting. Amorim's tenure at Braga, though brief, was actually marked by significant achievements and tactical innovation in his game that elevated his profile in Portuguese football. In September of 2019, Amorim was appointed the head coach of Braga's B team, who was also competing in Portugal's 3rd tier. His effective man management and tactical knowledge was obvious to see from the beginning, which led to his promotion in December of 2019 to becoming the head coach of Braga's 1st team. At the time that he joined, Braga was 8th in the league. Amorim decided to implement his dynamic 3-4-3 formation. He put an emphasis on attacking play, high pressing, and flexibility to change within games. His system worked. He was able to get the best out of the players at his disposal, maximizing the strength of each player. On the 25th of January 2020, Braga won the Portuguese League Cup after defeating Porto 1-0 with a last-minute goal from Ricardo Horta. This was Braga's first major trophy in 4 years, and it showed Amorim's immediate positive impact on the team. The next month, Braga beat Benfica 1-0 at the Estádio da Luz, their first away win against Benfica in 65 years. In back-to-back months, Amorim had showed his impact, with Braga making history. With Amorim in charge, Braga reached the round of 32 in the UEFA Europa League in the 2020 season. Although they ended up losing to Rangers 4-2 on aggregate, Braga's performances showed just how good of a manager Amorim was. His attention to detail, the tactical discipline he had implemented on the team, and their competitiveness. And he began to attract attention from larger clubs. In March of 2020, Sporting appointed him as their head coach, triggering his €10 million release clause, a record managerial transfer fee in Portuguese football. His departure from Braga was met with mixed reactions. People recognized his contributions at Braga and how good of a manager he looked, but they also understood the challenges of joining a club mid-season. But Amorim had learned a lot from his tenure at Braga. He had learned how to be a better man manager, improved his leadership qualities, and his 3-4-3 system began to get better and better. More importantly, he had learned how to make an impact on teams right away. Despite his limited top-flight managerial experience, Amorim quickly installed his system onto the Sporting team. Under Amorim's guidance, Sporting clinched the Primeira Liga title in the 2020-2021 season, ending a 19-year championship drought. The team remained unbeaten for the majority of the campaign, showing their defensive solidity and ability to hit teams quickly on transition. Amorim's 3-4-3 formation had worked again. His high pressing and fluid transitions were central to his success. Sporting also secured the Portuguese League Cup in January of 2021, defeating Braga, his former club, 1-0 in the final. Building on their previous season's triumphs, they sustained their success in the 2021-2022 season. Sporting continued to dominate domestically, but now even made strides in European competitions. The team reached the round of 16 in the Champions League, demonstrating how much better they had gone under Amorim's leadership. They also secured the Portuguese Super Cup after defeating Braga 2-1 in July of 2021. Amorim continued his managerial development in the 2023 season, this time integrating young talents from the club's academy into the first team. He was learning how to maintain a balance between experienced players and emerging prospects. Even though he was integrating players that had little experience, Sporting remained competitive in the league, finishing as runners-up, and continued to participate in European competitions, reaching the quarterfinals of the UEFA Europa League. Keep in mind, a big reason why Ruben Amorim had to do this was because Sporting continued to lose big players. João Paulinho, a pivotal defensive midfielder, was sold to Fulham. Matheus Nunes, a fantastic central midfielder, ended up joining Wolves. Nuno Mendes, a talented left back, ended up going to PSG, and Pedro Porro, who was a super important right wing back to Ruben Amorim, ended up going to Tottenham. Nevertheless, in the 2023-2024 season, under Amorim's leadership, Sporting continued to get better, securing their 20th Portuguese league title. They weren't just attacking well, they also had a very resilient defense. All of it could be seen over their incredible 8-0 victory over Casa Pia, their largest league win since 2018. Amorim's tactical flexibility and his effective man management were so critical in a successful campaign. His 3-4-3 was flexible. It didn't always look like a 3-back. It would shift and transition depending on the opposition. His leadership was clearly visible. Just look at how the Sporting players looked up to him and celebrated with him in his last few matches in charge. Maybe it's because he was a player himself. Maybe it's because he's relatively young compared to the players. Either way, he was able to communicate his message really well with everyone at the club. Everything he did at Sporting worked. He won 2 Portuguese league titles, a League Cup, and a Super Cup. In a league where the talk is usually always about Benfica and Porto, Amorim established Sporting as a dominant force in Portuguese league football, very much disrupting the duopoly that was in place. It's easy to see the parallels between Mourinho, who turned Porto into a powerhouse, as well as Amorim's success with Sporting. In the 2003 season, Mourinho led Porto to a treble, winning the Portuguese League, Portuguese Cup, and the UEFA Cup. Then the next season, they retained the league title and won the Champions League. Both managers delivered swift success. Mourinho won multiple trophies within 2 seasons, while Amorim ended Sporting's long title drought in just his first full season at the club. Amorim didn't get to achieve the European success that he wanted with Sporting, which is a shame, because under him, Sporting were at the top of the Champions League table. Who knows what he could have achieved, especially with players like Gyökeres in his club. The 2 Portuguese managers, though, aren't completely the same. Mourinho's style of play was more about defensive solidity and being conservative. Amorim, on the other hand, emphasizes offensive fluidity as well as youth development, along with a much more progressive style of football. Mourinho wanted a defensively solid system, often utilizing a 4-3-1-2 formation with Porto, while Amorim favors that 3-back. Only time will tell if the appointment is successful. When Mourinho went to England, he transformed Chelsea completely, making them into the giants they are today. Can Ruben Amorim have that same level of impact on a club as big as Manchester United? If you enjoyed this video, I'm sure you'll love this one as well. Check it out right here.